What the f?
So just something to put something up on the channel. Being that I'm not going to get to that white Trofeo for a while, I will have some more Pilot and LeSabre content coming up very shortly. I've just about finished those two cars up. Took a long break from both with the situation we had and are still having. Wasn't really touching the business at all. Was focused on some other things in life while I had that downtime with everything shut down. I'm on the fence about selling my AT&T Malibu here, which I'm very fond of. I've had this for years now. I made a lot of money selling AT&T Malibus, Cavaliers, and work vans. You go back 2-3 years ago. This was the last one I ever bought. I always like these Malibus. They're kind of the underdogs. Nobody really liked them because there's nothing special about them, but they're just good cars. They're reliable, they're comfortable, they have enough power. If you have the 3100, like I do, it's one of those cars. I have a friend in town or something, I say, hey, you want something to drive, take the Malibu. It's just a good, simple, reliable car. And everything works, but there is some deferred maintenance that I've put off, and I'm taking care of that today. The brake pads were a lot more worn down than I realized. I started hearing them get noisy. Upon taking the wheel off, I discovered that the rotors are actually damaged now. 2 new rotors, new brake pads, and while I had all this out, I said, you know what? I may as well throw those quick struts in I bought years ago for this car. I bought these quick struts like 2 years ago, and they've been sitting ever since in the box. Now, I'm not really a fan of quick struts. I don't know what lapse of judgment I had when I bought these. I think at the time I bought some for my girlfriend's Cobalt, and I said, okay, I might as well get some for that Malibu. And sure enough, those quick struts didn't even last maybe lasted 6 months in the Cobalt before they started clunking again. They're still better than what was in there in terms of ride quality, but they're shot. And obviously with quick struts, a lot of times your car ends up sitting up much higher because the springs aren't the same. But I have them, I can't return them, so I may as well throw them in. And again, if they go bad in 6 months, I don't use this car anyway, it's an extra vehicle, but they're certainly gonna be better than these struts, which are just totally shot. You can see how much oil they've been leaking. This car rides awful with these struts, and I don't want to ruin these new tires. I thought that was a nail. So, may as well throw them in. I've got everything out. They're extremely easy to change on these Malibus, like a lot of GM vehicles. You get 2 21mm bolts here at the bottom. I undo them by impact, and then rethread on the nut just a little bit, bang, bang. Pull those pins out, and you've got 2 13mm and 1 12mm bolt up top. So there's all your hardware. I'm going to throw that new strut in. I'm going to put it next to this old strut first. I just want to see how much larger the spring is in this one. I took a quick look at it last night, but not next to this one. It looked like it was actually about the same. It was a pretty well-rated Chinese strut. I actually took a few minutes to research it, and there really wasn't too many complaints about it. So I'm going to pull out of the box. We'll put them side by side, and then I'll throw it in here, finish the brake job on this side, and then go to the other side and do the same. So just what I thought last night when I took a quick peek at it, they do look pretty similar. Even you look at the size of the spring. A lot of times you get these quick struts, and they'll put in the spring that's much thicker, which obviously is going to give you a rough ride, and sometimes they're even much taller. But if you look at these, I think it may be a little bit taller, but it's strange how it mounts. I guess we'll know when I put it in. Again, I'm definitely putting these in because they're better than what I've got, but just looking at them, they look fairly promising. Again, the spring size, I don't have my little measuring thing, but they look to be about the same, and even the amount of coils, even the amount of rungs, 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3 4. Yeah, I mean, it should be very similar. I'm excited. I'm actually excited to try these out. I don't remember where I bought them from. It's got AAA on it. I don't know what brand that is. The box, oh, let me see. DTA. So if they're good and they hold up, then I'll know my go-to quick strut. Now I've already put the new strut in. I got to tighten it down. Super easy, like I explained on the other side. You just got to cock the wheel any direction, doesn't matter, just to get the old one out. That's good enough because I'm going to torque it to spec. Okay. Now obviously you don't want to use the impact up here. You'll do these by hand. I think the torque spec on these is like 38 or something, or 18. It's low. These are just snug. Torque in the spec, 89 foot-pounds for these bottom bolts here going into the knuckle. Looks good. Again, it looks like a factory strut. The spring isn't, you know, tighter together and thicker, which would make it ride harder. So now I'm doing the brakes. So on the other caliper, one of the pins was sticky. The piston's good on both, but these ones are actually okay, but I'm going to go ahead and re-grease them. You can see there's no rust. The boots are good. I've got my caliper grease here. I know I look like a caveman. I had to take my shirt and hat off because I'm getting cooked right now in the sun. Not running a fashion show on the channel by any means. So I'm gonna grease these up. Much better movement. Now they really weren't having any issues, but again, we're already here. Now's the time to do it. Okay, so I'm just greasing the brackets now. I hold the calipers. Again, anywhere where there's metal on metal contact, it doesn't hurt to throw this stuff on. Okay, so we've got the pistons relubricated, pads installed, brackets greased. I've got the new rotor on. Obviously, I already hit it with the brake parts cleaner on both sides. I've got the piston and the caliper decompressed. I've got this great tool. What you do, because I've broken over the years, I've broken way too many C-clamps. I have this piston compressing tool. There's other ones too. There's ones that you like pump with your hand. It almost looks like a pair of vice grips. But this one's great. It's got the little vise, and then this disc helps push the piston in and decompress it, because on these calipers you need to decompress this piston all the way in to fit the new pads. So I've got the new pads right there. So I got the 213s in for the caliper bracket. Now I'm putting the bolts back into the sliders. And just want it snug by hand. It's like 30 foot-pounds if you're going to do it with a torque wrench, but there's not really a need. And that's it. Done. That sums it up. Super easy brake job. It's one of the many reasons I love these little Malibus and most front-wheel drive GM cars. I mean, everything is just easy to do. New rotors, new pads, new struts. I'll boot the camera back up when I've got this thing on the ground and out of the shop, and we'll see how it rides and how it stops. So in conclusion, I'm at 1% battery. I'm gonna make this quick. My alignment is still dead straight. The brakes are working great. No squealing, no squeaks, no issues. And the struts are excellent. I took it around for a little drive, and again, these struts will settle over the next few days, but look, the gap isn't even that bad. Honestly, it's about what it was before. And I did my girlfriend's Cobalt. It was so much higher, it looked ridiculous. This isn't bad. And again, I had this thing jacked up all day long. The more I drive it around, it's going to start to settle back down. That's because the spring size was exactly the same as the OEM struts. That's the key. If you're going to go with these Chinese struts, you got to check the spring size. I took a gamble based on the reviews. It worked out. Not to say I would go with quick struts much in the future, but for a vehicle like this, you know, it's worth the risk to me. But they ride great, they're quiet, they're smooth, they feel OEM so far. I'll report back to you guys if these struts do not hold up very long, but again, I don't drive this car much. All right, just to close out the video, my battery died earlier, but I guess it's good. I'm giving a little update. I've been driving the Malibu around a bit more today. Probably put, I don't know, 15, 20 miles on it. And I'm still very impressed with these Chinese Struts. I mean, the height, they settled. It's OEM. I mean, the springs aren't higher like they normally are with these Chinese Struts, and the ride's very smooth. It feels OEM. Nothing's clunking. I remember when I put the ones on the Cobalt, like right away I noticed, they were very stiff, and not long after that, they started clunking, and they're shot now. They were pretty much shot a few months after I put them in. But this thing's riding great. So, very impressed with them so far. I wouldn't necessarily recommend them to anybody because, again, I haven't long-term tested them. But so far, so good. Again, if for some reason they go bad, I'll post an update. But that's it. Just a little video, something to put up. A little bit of AT&T car maintenance. And the brake and ABS light have been on this thing forever. I think it's a wheel speed sensor. I don't remember. I hooked up my scanner to it a while back, but probably something I should have took care of when I had the wheels off. I completely forgot about it, to be honest. But that's going to do it, guys. Thanks for watching, and keep an eye out for the next one. I'm going to have some content coming soon on the Pilot, the LeSabre, and eventually I'll get around to that Trofeo that, most of you know what happened to it by now, but get around to that one soon.